Hi, my name is Samuel James Price, and every single day I go over the news on my show, The Crypto Lifer Show. I'm the Crypto Lifer, and my audience are the lifers. Together we make the greatest show on the internet. It's awesome. I can't wait to bring it to you every single day, and we add a beautiful news segment. We give you the news in about 3 to 5 minutes to show you what's happening in the market, to show you if there's a hard fork coming, if there's a big partnership, maybe between Matic and another big coin like it happened 2 weeks ago. There's a lot of stuff happening in the news every day that can actually kind of give you some sentiment into where the market could be heading and where we're building from Web3 legacy, connected to the legacy platforms, to Web3 and moving forward. So let's take a look and see what's happening on the news. A $10 million bet on Ether shows positioning for a bullish second half. A large Ether bull can call spread crossed the tape Friday, according to Albert Data. The trade involved December call options with strike prices at $1,900 and $2,500. So this whale of a tail person with a lot of money believes that Ethereum will be well over $2,000 up into $2,500 by December. Ether jumped 61% in the first 6 months of the year. Traders are now betting the rally in the token of Ethereum, the world's biggest smart contract blockchain, could extend into the second half. On Friday, an investor purchased roughly 63,000 bull call spreads tied to Ether, due for expiry on December 29th, according to the data. The trade involved the sale of a call option at $2,500 strike price to partly fund the purchase of a call option at the $1,900 strike. The strategy cost an initial $10 million, as the trading entity shelled out more to buy the $1,900 call than it received from the selling the $2,500 call. A call buyer gets protection from the seller against price rallies. In return, the call seller receives an upfront premium from the buyer. For Ethereum to highlight, call spread $1,900 to $2,500 on December for around $10 million of net premium paid. Massive. Magdine, director of derivatives at Alberta, said in a newsletter on Sunday. But it could just be a big whale trying to take a shot and doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? It's news. It's interesting news, but it is news. However, it does suggest that someone with big pockets believes that Ethereum will make a big move in the future. Interesting. What do I say about that? Well, I believe as the halving gets closer and as each halving comes for Bitcoin, it does put more pressure on the whole market as the scarcity. And more people realize that things are scarce and they need to pay attention. With that, I believe it puts kind of a whole bullish feel on the whole market. And people realize that even though Ethereum doesn't have a finite supply, it is becoming more deflationary. More people are building on it, more coins, more things. There's more meme coins people want to get, and people want Ethereum. More Ethereum is being staked than ever, as we went over last week. So it definitely could put a bit of a bullish tone on the market, add to that scarcity feeling of cryptocurrency. One other bank collapse, Bitcoin goes up again, Ethereum's falling, Bitcoin. And to me, I think there's a pretty good probability we do see $2,500 Ethereum, just based on the overall idea of what's happening with the halving coming for Bitcoin. I can't believe we have a halving in less than a year. This is the best time to be alive. I just hit myself like the best time to be alive, the best time to be a YouTuber when the halving's about to happen. Then the halving comes, and if you're not ready, you can't compete with everyone that's already been basically scaling and strategically moving throughout the bear market. So I'm ready to take my move into the bull times. Probability for U.S. approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF is fairly high, says Bernstein. The lack of a spot Bitcoin ETF leads to the growth of over-the-counter products like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which are more expensive, illiquid, and inefficient, the report said. And they're worse for the consumer. So if you're trying to protect the consumer, even if it's an institutional consumer, at the end of the day, right, they represent people's money, even if it's just an institution. At the end of the day, there's someone's money behind it. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's SEC stance on spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds is a difficult one to hold, and the probability for approval is fairly high, brokerage firm Bernstein said in a research report on Monday. It notes that the SEC had already allowed futures-based Bitcoin ETFs and recently announced leverage-based futures ETFs on the premise that futures pricing comes from a regulated exchange like the CME. According to the analysis led by Gautam Shingai, the SEC believes that the spot Bitcoin ETF would not be dependable because the spot exchanges, Coinbase, are not under its regulation, and thus spot prices are not reliable and prone to manipulation. The regulator has yet to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF despite receiving numerous applications. A unit of BlackRock filed paperwork last month for the formation of a spot Bitcoin ETF. I don't see how BlackRock gets denied, honestly. They just got too many big people. Like, he knows everyone. You know what I mean? they're connected. They're too connected. I just, it doesn't make sense that they would publicly come out for something and get publicly rejected. It would almost be like, you don't say no to BlackRock, you know? So I feel like them coming out saying they did the ETF is them telling everyone that there will be a Bitcoin ETF. But again, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. That's my 2 cents, or my 2 Satoshis. Crypto ATM operator Bitcoin Depot debuts on the Nasdaq following a SPAC merger. The shares doubled in pre-market trading before falling back after official open. Shares of Bitcoin Depot, the world's largest crypto ATM operator, more than doubled on their Nasdaq debut Monday following a merger with special purpose acquisition company GSR2 that was valued at $885 million in August. Atlanta, Georgia-based Bitcoin Depot, traded under the ticker BTM, is the first crypto ATM operator to list on a major U.S. stock market. BTM shares rose as high as $660, more than double of the GSMR's closing price from Friday and pre-market trading before pulling back to $339, up 5% from the Friday levels. Crypto ATMs enable users to buy crypto with cash or debit cards and wire the tokens directly to a particular wallet without going through a crypto exchange. However, they have also been used by scam artists who list goods on sites like eBay or Craigslist with instructions for purchasers to pay depositing physical currency in an ATM. It sounds kind of strange. Anyway, they always try to do that, but it's all connected through blockchain. So you see more and more Bitcoin, you see more and more of these everywhere, kind of sprouting up, so to speak. And I like to see that. The prevalence of ATMs is good because that's what people are associated with. So you want to see that to try to bring the masses back. Be like, hey, here's an ATM. You know how to use one. Here's a Bitcoin ATM. Same thing. Yeah. And that, my friends, is the news.